Join me as you and I and you take a journey to become better writers together and geek out. Well, hello there, Applebites. This is your Applebite, Written Writ Ralph, talking to you straight from our show here, The Written Writ. It is time to rock. It is time to party. It is time to have fun. It is time to be a hero, folks.
Or if you're me and John, it's time to scream.
Yeah, because you guys, dude, John, I was actually talking about this in the green room, and I'm kind of amazed that you guys are stuck where you're stuck, because I thought you guys would be funded by now.
We thought so too.
Yeah, we thought so too. But best laid plans and all that never works out exactly how you plan when you hit that launch button.
Yeah, it's the one thing I keep telling folks out there, folks. These Kickstarters, nobody's making any money. Everybody's just trying to put their dreams out there, make them reality. Come on, folks. What are you waiting for? Let's just get these Kickstarters funded. Once you get them funded, you should put more money in it, but it becomes more relaxing.
Yeah, because it's all or nothing. So it's not like, all right, well, you're short like $1,000, but you'll still do the thing. It's like, no, we don't get anything. This doesn't happen.
We get nothing. Yeah.
It just stays a dream in our heads, and that does no one any good.
No, of course not. We are grateful for the 145 people who stepped up to the plate.
Oh my God!
We're going to need a few more.
Dude, I can't believe that you're actually at that number. Because that's actually a pretty good number.
It is. Yeah, it's been weird because it's been a slow start, but I don't think we've had any zero backer days.
Nope.
Oh, it's K-pop.
Not a single zero backer day, but we're just the average pledge has been a little lower. A lot of people going digital, and that's been a buzz in the indie community. A lot of people are times are tough, so we understand that. But yeah, we just needed that average backer amount to be a little bit higher, but we'll figure it out here.
We'll get there, hopefully, right?
I gotta say,
we're getting close. We're getting close.
I know you guys will get there, and I know you guys will go over. I'm just mad at people because they're waiting till the last minute, which is what they always do.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want to see a creator not sleep for 21 days? All right, just wait till the last minute.
Right.
I gotta say, Jan, you are going for $1 million. and I was sitting there and I'm watching the videos. They're entertaining, and I can see people are beginning to put the money into the whole thing. First off, John, tell the people who you are, all the good stuff. Give them the spiel so we can continue talking about what we're about to talk about.
Sure. So I'm Jan. I'm the founder of Real World. Can you guys? I'm getting a little bit of a delay. You guys good?
You're good.
Hear me? See me?
Right.
Okay. Yep. So I'm Jan. I'm the founder of Real World. We're the first cinematic social network where any video you post is part of a movie or show that we're making together as a community, starring in together as a global community. So we have one show right now. It's called Justice for Hire, and the concept is Uber for heroes, where you can hire a hero or become one and get paid. And we have people around the world creating their own heroes, creating villains, and clients that hire them, all being part of one shared cinematic universe. And from that cinematic universe, we draw multiple shows, including the main series, which is what you'll see on most of our social media and on the app. So it's pretty fun stuff.
I completely agree. It's been a lot of fun. We met John at Urban Action Showcase, and we actually became some of the heroes that are part of this whole thing. And I'm planning to have some fun with this. So I just need to make sure that I put all that stuff in the app. And I kind of think if we talked about something in the green room that I kind of figured out how we can do it. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, it's a really fun, amazing community. And to answer your question on the going for $1 million on the equity crowdfunding side, we really look at that as we are positioning ourselves to build the next big studio. When I say studio, it's a social network meets a studio. We really see that the future of film and television is all about audience participation, and the only way to get there is by working together as a community. So, we're all in on audience participation, on people becoming characters in the shows, in the movies that we love. We believe that the future of Comic-Cons is us going to celebrate heroes and characters we create as a community, and people knowing each other through, cosplaying as their character, not as some other character that another company owns that you don't have the full rights to. So, we're, like I said, all in on that. And the equity crowdfunding side is really more so about the spiritual concept of people owning part of the company, owning part of what we're doing. So it's, we need to build out what we're doing is really it's a massive undertaking over the course of many years. So we don't expect to get all of that fuel from an equity crowdfunding campaign. We really look at it as, how can we make sure that at any given point in time, people can own part of what we're doing as a company and keep that raise going. So the first time we're doing it is with this WeFunder campaign, which ends in 20 days. So on wefunder.com/realworld, people can actually join, become part of it. And that's the spelling, real, REELWURLD, because you're in it.
I love what you're doing. I love the excitement. I love the fact that it's like a different way to go down the route of the hero. And as somebody who's always liked heroes for hire, Justice for Hire just makes so much sense to me.
I want you to know that I just read, I'm like in the midst of reading Luke Cage Hero for Hire #1 for the first time ever in my life. I'm shocked. I am appalled by the period of time that it was written. And I was just like, man, this is the most stereotypical, disappointing thing for me personally. I am completely shocked. I was like, wow, man, this is painful to read. But I like Heroes for Hire though. That's a cool name. So
I love the fact that it's Power Man and Iron Fist before it was Power Man and Iron Fist, because they were called Heroes for Hire for a while. Yeah, but you're completely right. When you first read Power Man in the 70s, it's done totally different.
My mind was blown. I was like, let me check this out, because I have that whole 100 most important comics in Marvel's history book, and I popped open the Heroes for Hire. I was like, okay, I should probably look at this, given that we're doing Justice for Hire. It's probably something in there. I was like, this isn't empowering at all.
Oh man, yeah, but it's funny because I grew up with Power Man and Iron Fist. I remember Heroes for Hire. It's such an interesting time. Well, the 70s books are just totally out there from the get-go. The 70s books are just totally out there. I feel like it kind of fixed things in the 80s, but if you were reading the 70s, woohoo!
Yeah,
it was an interesting time.
It's great, man. I think it's really important to be able to embrace all of the iterations of characters. I'll put it this way: I don't like it, but I embrace what it is, even though I don't like it. I'm like, okay, like I like that it exists. It happened. I don't want to do something like that, but I appreciate that it created some form of foundation. And I really feel like we always, and that's again part of the spirit of the company, being able to look at the past as stepping stones and learning, so that we can say, hey, you know what? How can we improve upon this thing? It's not like, oh, this sucks, burn it down, burn the books. It's more like, okay, cool, like that happened. So now how can we do better? I think that Marvel and Disney have done a pretty good job of reframing that narrative, and more power to them.
That's what boggles my mind when people are upset with the movies, and it's different. Like, it's going to be different. Like, and did you read half of these books? There's thousands of issues for each character, and a lot of them are just they had 2 days to get it to print, and they just kind of threw something together. So don't kid yourself that all these stories are these epic. It's a real convoluted mess. They got a lot to clean up.
Yeah, it's a different universe. People keep acting like, why isn't this like the comic? It's not the same universe as the comic.
But
And
also,
it can't be. They don't have thousands of hours.
Yeah, and the comics, like sometimes an entire team will be dropped like mid-series, and then someone else picks it up, and it goes in like a completely different direction. And
yeah, exactly.
And it's constantly
it's chaos.
Rebooting back, because you can't change them too much. So yeah, I remember being upset when Spider-Man 3, because they didn't do the whole arc with Eddie Brock and everything. But again, they didn't have 6 movies to do all this build up in the space thing with the
They did what they could in the allotted time. It wasn't great, but it was something.
I have to say, I've been upset with Eddie Brock for a long time, because they keep trying to separate him from Spider-Man, it was the greatest story, and I wish they would have been able to do it on the big screen, because you know, Venom and Spider-Man, that whole thing with each other, it's such a great story, and they keep belittling it.
Yeah, it's such a good
Yeah.
rivalry. Like 10 out of 10 rivalry.
For sure.
I will share, guys, that I just read for the first time ever the Phoenix, like the actual issue where Jean Grey becomes the Phoenix in the classic X-Men. And I had never read that before. I'm like, I found a whole bunch of, we had our first event in Florida for Justice for Hire at St. Pete Comic-Con in January. And there was this bin of like dollar comics. And I got this like 2-story classic X-Men thing from like the 90s that rehashed some of the 80s stuff, I guess. And it was so good. It was like profoundly good. Profound. I was like, wow, this is such a spiritual experience of Jean Grey becoming like, seeing this Phoenix Force and it telling her that I am whatever you wish me to be. And just the form, it takes the female form because she wishes it to be her new form, and her body's like deteriorating in space as she saves the X-Men. It's crazy. It's like amazing.
Yeah. and I haven't read that one in a long time, but it's not. I definitely could see that being one that holds up. Like we were saying, some of them, it's like, all right, they were just it was a job for hire clearly or whatever. But some of the stories, like the Claremont X-Men run and the Burn and all that, they definitely hold up.
I have to say, and I'm happy that you brought that up, John, that it's one of the things that pisses me off, especially with the Fox X-Men, because how do you do the Phoenix story without the fact that Cyclops and Jean Grey have this love affair, and that's what the main piece of that story is, and they continue to keep doing the story based on other people. Like first they did it where it was based on Wolverine, and then they did it when it was based on somebody else, and I'm like, it's the freaking Phoenix saga, and it's important that Cyclops and Jean Grey love each other, because that's how. Oh my God! It's such. It's such a moment.
They did not do that well.
No.
And again, maybe that's one of those
happened.
that's too big to translate.
No, they just need to do it right. They just need to do that whole love story.
The blueprint was there. Did they kill Cyclops off screen on that one too? Like they're just like, oh yeah, and he's there.
Yeah.
He was filming a different movie. They just the actor was in wasn't he in Superman or something? They just killed him off instead.
Yeah. Whoops.
Well, you can have faith that your friends at Disney, I'm sure, now that they have the reins of X-Men, be extremely loyal to the characters, classic storylines.
I gotta say, I'm so happy with X-Men '97, only because the Cyclops is finally getting props. Because people have hated him so long, and they've made this Cyclops asshole guy.
But it was fun to hate him. Like you hated him, but like you didn't want him to die. You just wanted him to keep going so you could keep hating him.
I don't know. I
enjoyed it.
I was raised with him as a hero.
I don't remember much about. I haven't watched it in many years, but I don't remember liking it very much in '97. But people are raving about it coming back. So
yeah, they actually gave him some props this time. It's like Cyclops as the hero, at least from the comics, because in the early versions, like he was more of a heroic character, like Captain America. It wasn't until later on that they started making him to more of an asshole and more of an asshole and more. But
I liked him being an asshole. Like he can still be a hero and be an asshole, and it's funny.
I always took it as he has to make the tough decisions as the leader, and that's why he kind of gets late. That's how I always.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's why him jumping out of the plane is such an epic moment, because he's like, I don't need anyone's help. I got this. I was like, oh my God.
That was epic, man.
I was like, oh, I can't believe he just landed like that.
That was fantastic. Oh, dude, I gotta say, like, I've been watching all the little videos, and I've been watching all the stuff you've been doing, and we were talking about in the green room how that I'll probably show it off here. I think you guys have it on your site. That video that kind of shows you guys off, like your origin story of what you are. It's so epic, and you were saying that it kind of went viral on TikTok, right?
Yeah, it definitively went viral. It was really pivotal for us going from a very intimate Instagram community, because that's where we were really, or before we even had our app, we were centralizing our community on Instagram, and Instagram would like cap us at 33 people per chat. So we had multiple cast chats because we call every user of our app a cast member. So we had all these cast chats, and they're all in different places. And once we went on TikTok, which we avoided, very intentionally for a while, because we knew that once we put something on TikTok, it would be absorbed. And we waited till this episode was done and ready, and then we put it out. And overnight we had 1 million views, and
Wow.
it just kept going for like 2 months till it hit about 7.5 million views, and that really built us the global community that we're very happy to have right now. And the majority of the folks that are following what we're doing are outside the States, which is really interesting. So we have a strong like grassroots community in the U.S. in multiple cities across the country, but it's really interesting to see how the international audience responds to it.
Oh man,
And I love that you created something
cool.
that like the international audience can also participate in. Like that's
Exactly.
very cool that it's not just like exclusively a local American thing.
It's I think it's a I think it's a testament to where there's a lot of opportunity in America right now. I really think we're approaching a renaissance for creativity, especially in the States. And I think it's very rare that you have something like, from my perspective at least, something like X-Men '97, where we can all rally around it and be like, this is like unequivocally like dope. It's just freaking fly. Like, I love X-Men '97. I'm flipping out over it. I love the original X-Men series. But there's so much content has become redundant. And there's a reason for it. Standard scripts got standardized in the mid '90s with Sid Field and Save the Cat. The studio started referencing that as like the Bible of how to make a hit. So therefore, scenes started to be based on scenes rather than be based on life.
Yeah.
And so you have a templatization of cinema that really started hitting hitting the ground hard in the '90s, and that continues to this day. And people are bored, especially in America, and the rest of the world is essentially using the models that we've created to build their film industries.
Yeah.
So, and that's not just the rest of the world doing it. The studios were very intentional at farming out talent to help these other countries with the intent to leverage these other countries, but they kind of lost that footing. And the other countries just built their own systems in amazing ways, and you have amazing stuff coming out of so many places in the world. So, like, where does that leave the U.S.? For the most part, it leaves me watching honest trailers and watching pitch meeting and being like, "Oh man, I love this. This is hilarious. This is better than watching the movie."
Yeah.
Because the movie is boring by our standards. Even children could recognize the patterns. Like I'll watch, my son will watch the Addams Family, the animation, then he'll watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and the same exact scene is in both of those films. Someone walks into a bar, they have to have a battle dance off with a guy with a foreign language, like an accent speaking English, it's like the same scene. So you have all this evidence of how Hollywood has essentially degraded cinema by nature of focusing on a very narrow formula. So, I think the opportunity now is really what's happening on social media, spearheaded by TikTok, because you have all these people, it's called, we call it the positivity model, but heart-to-heart communication. Like a creator feels something, they put it out there, and you feel it right away. It's not a creative idea that is approved by a committee that therefore the heart space gets throttled because the committee has all these other agendas. You have one person going out to the many, and that's really the foundation of Hollywood. If you really look at, it's closer to 100 years ago with Charlie Chaplin than it is to where Hollywood is now in terms of social media. So I think the opportunity really is everyone's personal story. How do we leverage a person feeling great about their story within the container of franchises, within the container of larger cinematic universes? Like, we know what it looks like for a bunch of heroes to come together. Well, what if we're the heroes? We really look from a real world perspective of any social network is actually a story we're telling together. So therefore, what if we just make one social network for one show or one movie, and everything we put on there is part of that story, and we're all characters in it? So, I think there's a huge opportunity for Americans and for the rest of the world to come along with us. But I do think it starts here.
And it's such a great idea because I always think about like, the people who will watch or read something just to hate on it and like, say how terrible it is. And there's always that sort of like, well, if you don't like it, like go make one yourself. And you're kind of giving people the opportunity to do that. Is that if they don't like what's already out there, they can just like literally go and like make up their own hero, make up their own storyline, and just like put it out there for people to see.
Absolutely, and there's very light guidance in our app. You're on the desktop version, which we, as you can see, the banner at the top. We're like, hey, use the mobile because you can use desktop, but it's like way better on mobile, designed for mobile. But the concept is like, how can we help someone who doesn't know how to make a scene? How can we give them minimal guidance so that they are creatively empowered and free at the same time to essentially hit certain points in the scene so that it's actually usable? And
yeah, that was going to be my next question, was like, how does somebody with, say, like no acting skills or no like video production skills go about like, shooting their own scene?
So we have something, just to give an example, we separate content creation into two categories. One is missions, one is challenges. So missions are essentially how you impact the cinematic universe. Challenges are how you tell your story yourself, just your own story. So for example, we have journey challenges, and if you do all 15 journey challenges on our app, you have your own mini movie because we truncated the hero's journey model. The hero's journey model, which is essentially how most common storylines work, especially in cinema. So it's like, okay, cool. Now you have an origin story. You should feel great about yourself and your character because you've gotten this minimal guidance on doing your thing, and really no one can replicate your thing. That's like the core. It's like no one can replicate you, really. And even if you have AI, it's like, well, can AI feel like you? Are you you? So I think human power is the greatest power.
What if we're all AI?
What if this is the Matrix?
Well, so I would argue that especially during the strikes, that, and I say this with all love and respect due to my friends who are writers in Hollywood, that the writing, the directing, the scene structure, it's all AI. It's been AI because it's all referencing previous like scenes. It's referencing previous films. Cinema referencing cinema is artificial intelligence. So like true intelligence is you referencing your own life and looking deep inside yourself and bringing something out. And that's what we're really focused on.
That's also the beauty of like crowdfunding, like whether it's Kickstarter or WeFunder or whatever. It's like, it's usually a small group of people or even like one person just like making their own thing. Like we don't have to have like board meetings. We, like you were saying, we don't have to go through like a committee of people bombarding you with like, oh, well, you have to change this, you have to follow this formula or whatever. Like you're getting things like entirely from someone's heart, and like that's very cool.
Yeah, and as someone who works in social services, behavioral sciences, that's I do feel like that's true. That's why I think comics and these kind of things are the purest form of story, because once you do get into that writer's room, you get the social pressure to succeed, and we have goals we have to meet, and then now you're getting away from the true story and getting into other benchmarks and things we need to reach. So that's why I like still, I love making comics, and every week world-class stories come out in the comics medium, and that's why I just think it's the best to tell stories. And
I was reading the Multiverse Who Laughs last night, and in particular the story for Superboy Prime. And Superboy Prime, if you guys have read this, if you haven't, I'll recap. But essentially, Superboy Prime is a Clark Kent who, in his universe, has no powers. He reads Superman comics, and the whole DC universe is in comic book form in his universe. And then one day, because of the Batman Who Laughs, who's become the Darkest Knight, and creating this dark multiverse that starts to infringe on other worlds, he actually gets the powers of Superman, and then has to leave his world, is pulled away from his world, and joins all these other heroes in essentially defending the multiverse. And the interesting thing about that, the mechanics of that story, to me, are when we read great stories, it makes us want them to be real in some way, shape, or form. You know, this Clark Kent character then somehow crossing over from fantasy into reality of these characters I've read about, they're all real. And this is, you know, a staple through the comic book world, but I think it's actually a staple to how we look at stories as humans. And if you look at the function of story from a foundational level, in like tribes, you know, stories aren't there for your entertainment. They're there to remind us or the tribe of the values, the principles that actually help us to expand, help us to make those values and principles real in our daily lives. So I think stories, it's when I read stuff like that, I'm reminded of how important it is to bring the story right to the person and hopefully empower them to make something real about it in their life.
That's intense. That's deep. I really, like I said, I really do love what you have here, bro. You know, it's one of the reasons why I keep posting your videos and putting you out there is because I think you got something different here.
Thanks, man.
I think it's something completely new. I've never heard of like anything like this or an app like that where people can participate and just be part of this like continuous story.
Well, we're it's support from guys like you that really help us to one, it's a personal reminder for me that like, oh, people see what we're doing, because you know, when you're working alone a lot, even though I have a team and we communicate, it's still we're still at a stage where there's a solitary experience, and that solitary experience can be like really challenging sometimes. So I'm just like, wow, this is great when I see folks who get what we're doing. If you look at I just posted a video today where I got an investor intro yesterday, because you know we still have to do an institutional raise because we're you know building a significant studio. So it's like, okay, I still have to talk to like the more traditional investors, and there are folks who are out there who, you know, for all entrepreneurs, for all creative people, who are there to, you know, devalue you first and then to see what they can get after they've lowered you. And it's like I've experienced that many times, from, you know, from being on set to, you know, working in multiple business settings to running my own companies. And, you know, when I feel that energy, and then I feel the counterbalancing energy of the folks who really get what you're doing, that really support what you're doing, and who are there to help you, you know, scream from the mountaintop. It's always such a blessing to be reminded of these good folks. So I'm, you know, deeply grateful for you guys giving us this shout out on here.
Yeah, and when did you all launch? How far are you into the campaign? How much has it got left? Where do we got to go from here?
So we launched. Let's see. We launched in like 2021, and we launched in 2021.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually an interesting story. So in 2021, we launched. We were actually on a previous campaign, previous platform, and the platform, as wonderful as they are, really supportive. They were more for the professional investor community, and we wouldn't use an equity crowdfunding campaign for the professional investor community. We would that doesn't make sense for how we do business. For us, it's more about making sure that the fans who, you know, just want to know that they're supporting something that they care about, that we can give them access, you know, in easily. And so we moved to WeFunder, and WeFunder is definitely like the best platform for us to be on for equity crowdfunding. However, we launched with a lead investor, because you can't launch on there without a lead investor. And we launched with a lead investor who committed his capital, but then never transferred it into escrow. So if you guys know how equity crowdfunding works, you could essentially pledge an amount, but not actually transfer the money over. And it's up to you to do all of that. So we had, apparently this happens all the time on WeFunder, but the guy never like spent a year not transferring the capital over. And that capital was supposed to be our marketing dollars. And so I was like, okay. So I'm like, how do I get the word out in the interim? And this is during the course of that year. I'm like, what do I do to let people know of like that we exist outside of posting videos? Yeah, we went viral on TikTok. That's great. But the TikTok community for Justice for Hire is not necessarily the same community for real world. Not everyone wants to be, an action vigilante. Some people want fantasy, some people want horror. And it's really going to the audience that sees, hey, you know what, you could make any genre on this platform, but we've done it with one show so far, with one storyline. So for me, I was like, okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go around Hollywood. I didn't have a car out here. I'm a New Yorker born and raised. I live in LA. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I can get a car from Lyft or Uber and actually drive around. They'll like rent you a car, and I can pick up executives, writers, and directors after work and pitch them on what we're doing to essentially let more and more people know. So I drove around Hollywood with this real world, join the Cinematic Social Network, and on the other side has Justice for Hire. I did that for a year and 2 months promoting the company.
Oh my goodness, that is dedication.
It was so within 2 months we had 2 major new partnerships, and a bunch of new investors, and I got into my first car crash ever. And fortunately, no one was hurt, but I was like shocked. I was like, literally, my nerves were racked from that. And I was like hesitant to go back, but I was like, wow, man, like, I had just spoken to this other guy who was supposed to transfer the cash again. So I was like, okay, apparently he's still coming in. And I'm like, all right, well, let me just keep going, because I had such a strong response from the 2 month on Lyft. So I started with Uber. And then I did that until June of last year, July of last year. And we got more partnerships and more cast members for the show. And it didn't move the dial on the equity crowdfunding campaign as much. But what it did do was it gave us like a great story. And it also gave us some fantastic partnerships, one of which is with Bernie Bregman, who's the king of cosplay parties, who I'm sure a bunch of you guys have been to his stuff at Comic-Con, or various Comic-Cons, because he's doing a bunch of them now. So like, we've gotten these amazing partnerships, and I've not, you can actually see videos that I did, recap videos of my time on Lyft and on Uber, and all the different folks from all different walks of life that I picked up and pitched, and they got in videos with me, and it was great. My respect for Lyft and Uber drivers has gone through the roof, because it's incredibly tough to do.
Yes, it is.
Super hard on the body, pays hardly anything. But I justified it by saying, well, if I would spend this much money on an ad per day, which is what our marketing dollars were supposed to be from this lead investor, then I might as well be the ad myself. And, I'll get paid that much in a day. So I would essentially drive for as long as I would pay for an ad. Wow. And I would pass out, and like I'm telling you, you make so little cash on there, it's crazy. And so I'm like, all right, I did the ad spend for the day. I'm going home, and I would do that over and over. But then I got into another car accident, and almost died.
Oh no!
It was nuts. I literally went in July. In July, I was at church the week before my car accident, and a homeless attacker came into the church. I had to stop the guy. It was like a whole thing where I had to hold him for 45 minutes. I posted it on Justice for Hire. I posted it on my Tai Chi channel, because I coach a national team, martial arts team. And, that went viral too, which is great. It got like 3.1 million views. But obviously it's like I felt torn about it, because I don't want to, hurt anyone. But simultaneously, like, this is, it needed to happen to keep everybody safe. So it was definitely a real Justice for Hire experience. And then a week later,
it sounds like a real Justice for Hire.
It's like life imitating art all of a sudden.
It totally was. And a week later, I'm on, in the car, and I get to this car accident, and that was pretty much the end of my driving.
Wow.
And I literally got locked in the car. Like, gas started pouring everywhere.
Holy shit!
Someone came out of the smoke and popped open the door. And I jumped out, and I looked to say thank you, and I didn't see anyone. And then I saw this group of people approaching. I'm like, hey, where'd that guy go that just got me out? And they're like, what guy? And I'm like, what? This is like a miracle. And so it was definitely amazing and a transformative experience. And I have a video coming out. Would you die for your company?
Oh my goodness!
That's on the queue. I already shot it. So, to me, what we're doing, and, when I speak and there might be a lot of intensity and fire in my voice, it's because it really, really is like religious for me at this point. And when I say that, I mean that it goes to the core of what I think humanity needs. I think we all actually need to honor each other's stories, recognize that we're all telling a story together, and use that to bring the best out of ourselves. So, Real World in its core is a character development machine where people can work on the character they wish to be. And we give stories that allow them to play that out, hence Justice for Hire, etc. And everyone can choose their own principles. It's not like, how I feel about life is how someone else has to feel about life. If that was the case, that would not be the type of freedom we're talking about. And it's those narratives that make the most sense for, I think, what America is supposed to represent. And so, it's and that's why I think the biggest opportunities here in the States, because I've had conversations with folks from other countries that are just like, hey, you know what, producers who are like, what you're doing is really, really cool, we just can't talk about that in our country. And I'm like, wow, man, that sucks, because
that really sucks.
It does, yeah.
And I'm super grateful that we can have a platform that's really about empowering folks. So it wasn't until 2 weeks ago that WeFunders like, hey, Jan, you've had this campaign open, and I shifted into full focus mode on the Justice for Hire show last year after the car accident, and also coaching. I do a lot of coaching for Tai Chi push hands, my sport. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on these things, and we'll leave the WeFunder open so that people can, as I was saying earlier, invest anytime they want, own part of it anytime they want. It's just open. It's going to be great. We'll just leave it. And WeFunder's like, hey, you know what? We got to close this because you've had people in escrow since 2021. We should probably, close them out. I was like, oh yeah, we definitely should do that. So I shifted from Justice for Hire again, because we have a huge video that we're about to put out. And I was hyper focused on that. And it's the Story So Far video that shows 5 years of Justice for Hire community creating the actual show together, so people can see how every character interacts with each other. It's a huge video, and we'll put it out in about a week or so.
Nice.
But, it just made me have to reach back into my network, into my phone, and call every single person that's relevant to say, hey guys, we're going to close this thing. And we want the message of, it's less about the cash where, we can raise up to $1 million. Great. But to me, it's about the spiritual message of saying, hey, you know what, this is about community ownership. Invest whatever you can to help us get to, whatever number we can get to. And then the next stage is the next stage, which is essentially us building out the platform, putting out the show consistently, and going on a tour to, for our whole community for Justice for Hire, as our first show, and actually creating content in their hometowns, like going on tour across the country and shooting with the community from a grassroots level. So all of this is to build like the connection between the cinematic social network and in-person experiences, which we've been doing at Comic-Con and Urban Action Showcase, where Ralph and I met, and more.
Yeah, he's been
all right,
good.
Matta. The next comic, we got to make the comic about Jan's story leading up to all this. That's the real story.
Dude, I was about to say the same thing. I was like, dude, you got a story that you can actually use that actually happened and that leads to the other story. I'm like, dude.
It's like a story within a story within
Exactly.
a story that leads to another story.
I'll put one more cherry on top for you guys. The Justice for Hire show, the concept is actually based on, I was pitching Real World to an investor in 2017, and a guy on, I think, 53rd Street between 7th and 8th Avenue, 8th and 9th Avenue in New York, started like getting rough with his girlfriend right in front of us. And I asked the guy to be more, to calm down, to be more gentle with her. And he turned his energy on me to attack me. And the exact scene, we've reshot it for Justice for Hire, because that was the scene where I was like, you know what? The cops, I called them, because of my martial arts experience. I know that if you have a weapon, you have to let the police know before you engage the person who's causing the issue. So since I am essentially a weapon, I had to call the police while the guy is there and just let them know, hey, there's a guy that wants to fight me. I am a professional martial artist. I'm going to engage. And they're like, okay, well, we can't get there for another 15 minutes. So, we'll be there as soon as we can. I'm like,
Have
all right.
fun whipping his ass for 15 minutes.
It was, and the cops are literally, they were right down the street. I mean, literally the police station was 1 block away. And I was like, wow, man, this is hugely problematic. And that's not me speaking out against cops. I have a bunch of cop friends. I have a bunch of private military friends. Like I'm a martial artist. But it's just recognizing a real problem that police cannot solve all the true justice issues. And there's even more. You know, if you lose your cell phone, like the cops are not going to go get your cell phone. Someone steals it from you. They're not going to do that. So there's all these issues, and that just inspired Justice for Hire, going from this comic book series that my dad and I wrote that became the most downloaded martial arts comic series on Comixology and on Graphically and a whole bunch of others. Right there, as you guys can see, that's the graphic novel version. A whole bunch of cool quotes from really cool folks as well. There we go. But essentially, like we took that premise and said we're going to use Justice for Hire as a source material to create a cinematic universe. And you know, I've been pitching this thing in Hollywood for a while. I've turned down millions of dollars in deal offers to my father's, to the extent that my dad's been pissed at me about that, because I'm like, no, this isn't right. And so, to use a real life situation like that, and then to actually go and shoot the exact scene over again, and have the investor I was pitching reprise his role in the scene and shoot that is all in the video you're going to see in the next 2 weeks. So it's definitely like life imitating art, imitating life on top of each other, and the whole platform is essentially that.
That's beautiful.
Excellent, man.
It's poetic.
Yeah. I feel like, you don't really even have to sell this thing. It's like, just tell your story, and people are like, damn.
Thanks, man.
It is something.
Thank you. And there is a retrieve a stolen cell phone mission on the JFH app right now.
Oh.
I love the whole idea, and I love all the little videos that I do. We get to see, and I like the fact that you have these missions out there, and people can film those missions of them handling what the mission is, because it kind of leaves it open to interpretation, and that means that multiple people can actually film the same event and be totally different.
That is precisely right. So, and a lot of folks in the film industry, traditional film industry, don't understand that. They're like, how are you going to make a show if you pick the best scene? Like, so it's actually more so saying that, hey, in a cinematic universe, in the model of a cinematic universe, or a story world, a universe of in the comic books and the comic book space, etc., there are multiple stories happening all at once.
Right.
I just had a call with Bob Saboni from Marvel, previously from Marvel, last week on Friday, and Bob was telling me. Actually, I put out a video, if you saw, of what Bob told me about Stan Lee's three secrets to making a great character.
That was a good video.
Oh man, I
shared that on TikTok. Yeah,
it's so valuable for anybody. I was like, wow, man, that's brilliant. But Bob was saying that when they were first doing, between Iron Man 1 and 2, I think, no, it's between Iron Man and Hulk, that he had to constantly say to folks who didn't understand that when something's happening, I think Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor all take place within the same week. I didn't know that. Bob just told me that. So they all take place, canonically within the same week in the cinematic universe. And he had to tell people over and over that something happening over here with the Hulk simultaneously down the street or in the next town over or in the next country over, there's something else happening at the same time with another character. And that all of these characters live within this universe, and the movies are all coming out of that interconnected world. And people just didn't get it in 2008, 2009, 2010. And Marvel, we stand on the shoulders of what they built with the cinematic universe. You need a show poster or know a guy.
Yeah, that's our pal, Son of Saint. He's a great artist, and he's like, if you need show poster art, I know a guy. Let me.
Hey, we always do. But essentially, like, this is for us to be in a position where anybody, like, to your point, can create the same. They can take on the same mission, to retrieve a stolen cell phone, and never create the same scene twice, because everyone is doing it from their hometown, and it's a different story model than the hero's journey. It's not the same. Technically, it's a different model. It's actually called a collective journey story model, and that's not so popular or well known in mainstream media yet. It will be, but the most popular collective journey model is The Walking Dead, because a collective journey story deals with a systemic problem, while a hero's journey deals with a singular villain. For example, in a hero's journey, the hero goes out to slay the dragon, brings fire back to the community. That is the hero's journey model. Everyone's like, yay, hero, you did it for us. But for the collective journey, the systemic problem requires multiple perspectives, multiple characters to deal with it from different angles. So the systemic problem in Walking Dead are zombies all across the world. So the system, needs to be addressed and fixed, because zombies are in China, zombies are in Canada, they're in South America, they're in America. So JFH is a collective journey, model. It's us saying Uber for heroes, deal with the you get hired to handle whatever's going on in your hometown. So step up. And that's, I think, part of the reason we've attracted a lot of the real life superhero community too, is because they're like, man, that's cool. I already do that.
I was to say, they're already doing the same. What you're actually asking people to do, they're already doing it. They're out there doing it. So it's the perfect community to actually film themselves doing what you're asking them to do.
Yeah, again, and we're so, for liability's sake, we're so cautious of what we're asking. We're actually, we're like, hey, this isn't real. This is all, we have a toggle on the app between in character and out of character, so people know this is story and fiction, this is real. In real life, I'm a filmmaker, entrepreneur, producer, and we're making a show together. In character, I'm a former vigilante, and I use the same name. I'm Jan in the show. I'm Jan outside, so it could be confusing. But, and I'm going to watch that WWE Behind the Curtain that just came out today, too. I'm watching that tonight so I can get more insight into how they've done such an amazing job. I've never been into wrestling, but, seeing how similar it is to what we're building with JFH, I'm like, wow, man, I should pay really close attention.
The kayfabe.
Wrestling does it well, man.
The kayfabe,
I've been doing these storylines for a long time.
Who does it well?
Wrestling does it well. They've been doing this for a long time, and they make it seem real.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that wrestling is fake.
I think we all know that it's scripted.
It's scripted. What? It's definitely scripted.
Oh, sorry, John.
You ruined my life.
I'm sorry. It's not the first time, and it won't be the last time I've ruined your life.
I watched WWE XL last night with my lady, and that was pretty amazing, actually. Where The Rock and John Cena and everybody, it was crazy. The choreography was insane that they did. I was just applauding. I was like, wow, man, this is, I get it.
It's real, damn it.
It's just the male soap opera.
That's exactly what I call it.
What it is, yeah. But I know some guys who get upset when you call it that. but it has such. I feel like my favorite time, because I still love the 80s, because that's when I grew up with the wrestling. My favorite time was in the 90s when, The Rock and the rest of them were talking trash.
That was a fun time.
Can you smell? Oh my God.
And everybody would I think it was in middle school for me. It was everyone was going around calling each other a candy ass, because that's what you did.
You candy ass. We were the people's army, man.
Generation X.
Exactly. Oh, let's see. Son of Satan is the substance-induced promos.
Yeah.
But yeah, that comes across completely with your show. I feel like part of the fun of your show is the fact that you got a bunch of people doing the freaking rock as doing their thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we want to make sure that when we do these live events, we have sponsored stunt training every Friday night, and
I love what you did at Urban Action Showcase. That was fantastic. The whole class before you filmed that scene.
That's the model. Yeah. That's the model. That's what we're taking on tour That's how we're going to build real world. We're really looking at saying, especially given my martial arts background, stunt work is so important, and it's important for pretty much every genre. So if martial arts schools can be, open up their space to have stunt training, for the real world community, whatever show is being produced, whether it's Justice for Hire or some sort of fantasy action experience or some sort of horror scene, but to have a business model, which we've actually already worked through, for people to come in and train and work on their scene. This is stuff like this is already happening in China. They call it scripting, and people do scripts, and social media is way more sophisticated in China in terms of the culture, understanding how to deal with it, how to use it,
Right.
rather than being disrupted by like every day. Oh my God, this is happening now. Oh God, So it's to see how we're going to use social to create movies and shows together, it's not because we're saying it. It's not because it's oh man, I have to do this because it's my passion. I've been through all this. It doesn't freaking matter if I'm alive or not. It's inevitable. It's the next stage of how
It's something that's going to happen. Yeah.
It's just going to happen no matter what. So it's for us. It's when you look at AI and you look at the confusion that it's causing for folks and fear. It's a huge opportunity for people who have been reading the writing on the wall for years and looking at the trajectory of pretty much all across media. The solution to every media format is audience participation. Whether you're an artist making an album,
I think that's the difference with music, right? That's why people who really love music don't. I mean, of course, there's people who love music; they hear it, but it's about going to the shows and that thing. You can't replicate that, right? You can't that interaction between the band and the crowd, and that's exactly what you're talking about, which a lot of media is missing, right? But when you add that social aspect, that makes it memorable, that connects you, that's a lifelong thing that you're engaging people in. So that's really cool.
1,000,000%. I mean, there's I think you saw in the video I put out maybe 2 days ago, the 3 points that we hit. If is it fun? Is it fun to create together?
Exactly.
Are we doing? Is our story? Are we cool enough for people to want to be in the room? So therefore, the stories actually do have to be cool. Like Justice for Hire, fortunately, has attracted people, and that's great. And then finally, are folks, after the fact, after they create with us, can they watch it again and remember how much fun they had? Not only see quality content, but also be like, man, that was so much fun. And that's the film school experience. That's what you remember. I went to film school, and I was like, wow, man, some of the stuff we made is absolute trash, but I have such good memories from making that trash. And like, people feel good about each other, and you endear yourself to others, and vice versa when that happens. So there's a huge opportunity for collective creativity in this way. I think it's really across industries, but we're starting with film and TV.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, that's exactly how I got into writing, making stupid internet videos and things with my friends. I didn't want to be a writer. Like, I wasn't like most people are like, oh, since I was 13, I wanted to write for Spider-Man. I never thought about that. I just did dumb things with my friends. And then when we all got older and we didn't have as much time to do dumb things together, I said, well, I guess I'll write comic books because that's my way to interact with people. That's why I write, is to meet people, to interact, to have these, this finished product that we can look at the end. And like you said, you're watching the videos, but we can reread it and go, I remember when we did that scene. Remember we did that. That's why I do this, but maybe I'm naive.
I think it's a good sane way to go about it, though, like valuing the connections that you make. And I think that's why you're able to like pick people who are good for the stories you're trying to tell, because it's like you feel connected, the people, like the art team feels connected, and like it's just good vibes all around.
I hope so, because that's when you lay your head down at the end of the day, the end of your life, that's what you want to look back and say, right? Did we?
So John, we feel like you're talking about specific things here. So tell the people what you're talking about as I put it up there on the side.
Well, one such story is Child Possession Services, which I am a social worker by day. They say, write what you know. So I said, well, no one's going to read about, me being a social worker. So let's have her work with possessed or recently possessed children. And thus, Child Possession Services was born. Again, I've been very involved in the social services industry. So there's a lot of inside baseball with that. It's a lot about, the frustrations in working in the helping field, working with government agencies, all that stuff. It really is a workplace drama. She's not going to go on to, battle Satan or anything like that. If anybody was looking forward to that, we leave that to like Hellboy and those books that we love. This is more like The Office meets Hellboy. It's a lot more about her interactions with the other characters in the books and her allies and her rivals, and Connie's in the middle, and she's not the best social worker after, a career that has not gone the way that she wanted. And like I said, all those things that kind of burn you out as a social worker, she's also experienced. So that's CPS started back in 2018 as a short story, and now we're on the third issue, a few years after.
Wow.
And I think that like outside of the box thinking, where it's like, all right, it's about children who are possessed or whatever, but it's not like about the children who are possessed, and it's more about like the workers behind the scenes. That's what really drew me to the book too, because like on the surface I was like, oh no, is this going to be like an action story where they're like fighting demons and stuff? Because we have like billions of those, but like nothing actually, like it's hard to find stuff that like focuses on, the people working behind the scenes, and it's more of like a slice of life type thing where it's you get more invested in the characters than the action, and like that's very much right up my alley.
Yeah, and I
So-
know I appreciated, when I pitched you to come on the book, your excitement, helped get me re-energized to get this book out there. So, I
Excellent.
appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I always I'm very much a slice of life guy. Most of my favorite stories are kind of grounded in those kind of characters, but then I also understand that there has to be something, exciting and sensational in it. So usually I kind of back into that. Like I have the characters and what they're doing, and then I'm like, well, what's the world look like around them? So
You balance
case-
it really well, I gotta say, because there's the drama, then there's like a bit of the action, and there's like the possessed children and demons and whatever, but then it bounces back to the characters and then them reacting to the situation. So it's not like this sort of like episodic thing of where it's like, all right, we defeated this demon, let's move on to the next thing, and like no one talks about their feelings. Like here, everyone talks about their feelings, and it's a mess, and I love it. And like I gotta say, Connie's relatable because it's like, you stay in the same industry for long enough and you see how things work, and, you see that, like, maybe you're not getting the things you think you deserve. You're going to burn out.
Oh,
I got a question for you guys. Is there a digital version that I can get of issue 1?
Absolutely. We don't have issue 1 specifically in this Kickstarter, but we do have a pack for all 3. Of course, you as an amazing entrepreneur, I'd be happy to send you the digital copy of that.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm wondering, have you guys pitched this in film and TV at all?
Oh no. I've never done any pitching. I'm still working on getting my first comic contract first, and that hasn't quite worked out so well. So
well, it's a really brilliant concept, and some folks already popped into mind that you may want to talk to. So yeah, if you could send me issue 1, it's really it's a phenomenal. First of all, I applaud you on your work and thank you for serving society in the way that you do. So that's awesome that you're taking that and putting it into this book. That's really cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, again, yeah, I think those of us who work in the helping field will relate a lot to, and of course some of it's over the top and a little tongue in cheek. I still do. I very much am gainfully employed in the industry. I love what I do, but yeah, there's definitely some jabs at the work that we do, or the systems that we get involved in, more than the work with the clients. And that's kind of funny. Like Matta points out, you think it's called Child Possession Services, and even my co-creator on the book, Bob Gar, would joke with me, are they ever going to like work with children in this book? Because it only happens like once in a while. And actually, one of the times it happened, he wrote, he outlined that script. So to me, again, I like to do that, right? You think just because of the name it should be this. Well, I'm going to take you this way instead, because again, that's what the work is about. It's very little about working with your clients. It's very much about all the shit that gets in the way, all the barriers you have to overcome,
and your asshole coworkers,
and your asshole coworkers,
and your asshole boss
should be committed themselves.
A lot of assholes.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we're having a good time. Obviously, we appreciate all the backers that we have so far. We need a little bit of a push here at the end to get us over the line. We do structure these as one-shot stories, but there's more stories to tell. So of course, with each successful book, we can go on to tell more stories. Matta's already committed to a 50 issue deal here, so
Yep.
do it.
I pretty much sold my soul or what's left of it.
I can actually see Matta doing that.
Yeah, let me just pick up 50 issues of another series aside from the one that I'm writing and drawing
Exactly.
myself. Yeah. Live on challenge mode, right?
So, of course, he was talking about all the fact that he's been working on a bunch of different things. Can you tell us a little bit about the other stuff you've been working on, John?
Yeah, so Part-Time Comics is kind of just my publishing house for comics that I'm working on with other collaborators. That includes Drumsticks of Doom, which is our heavy metal tribute comic. That one is a little bit more, action orientated, fighting the monsters of heavy metal and things like that. We also have another one coming out this summer called LCS, which is about comic collecting after the end of the world.
I love how meta that is.
The short pitch for that is a series of global catastrophes has left life on Earth decimated and made comic collecting a huge disaster. So look for that this summer. And then, we've got Final Heist, which is, our heist / horror comic that we're coming out with later this year. So I've always got a bunch of plates spinning, not as many as Jan. I'm not a world-class anything. Martial artist or anything, but I like to work on different stories and work with different people. Again, it's part of what keeps me energized to keep creating is collaborating with different people and having different stories going. And this 4 pages came in today, I'll let her those, and I got to get the script to Matta tomorrow, and I just like kind of working like that. So I've always got a few irons in the fire.
Isn't that the case though? When we're writers, where there's constantly something we're writing, it's funny because a lot of people are always like, "Oh, Rob, why haven't you published anything?" And I'll say this much, because the fact that Jan actually is hitting on it. There's this whole other life where you have to actually sell all the stuff you're writing and be the person who sells this stuff because you're your own person. I would just want to keep writing, and then sooner or later something will happen.
Yeah, dude, marketing is like the most soul-sucking, exhausting part of the whole thing.
That's fine. I have tons of friends who do that. Hey, I'm finishing my novel. It's like, are we ever going to see it? He's like, probably not. And that's fine. Great for everyone.
Yeah, dude, live your best non-published novel writing life. Like,
as much as I lament it, I do like finishing projects, and I like seeing things out in the world, and I like seeing the books in print. So I kind of have always taken that in the last 15 years that I've been working on comics, but it's not for everybody. You don't have to feel like you have to shove your work down people's throats to enjoy the process, for sure.
Actually, that's not the issue. I just don't want to spend all that time doing that other thing where I can be writing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It does, surprisingly, like, running a crowdfunding campaign just takes up like so much mental real estate that like you just can't really focus on anything else. Like, I made the mistake of running my own campaign while trying to do John's pages for CPS, and like it didn't work very well. It was just like I'm like, no, I should have plenty of time. I just have to like post this update and then I can go and draw. And then it's like, oh well, I have to post this update, then I have to do this, and then I have to do that. Then I have to like sit there and agonize, like, why is the campaign not going like as well as it should? It's a lot. It's a lot of heavy weight on the brain.
Yeah, and it's just the hard part for me is that anytime you're a small business, which all of us are really, you have to be an expert in so many things, like TikTok and even just streaming. Like just to try to set up my stream was like frustrating me when I was trying to stream on Twitch and kind of engage people in that way. And there's all these things, you have to be an expert in print specs and Photoshop, and it's like it's a lot. But again, that's also fun. It keeps you young, learning different things. And
it's aged me by like 20 years. Like, it does not keep me young.
I completely agree with you guys because I spend so much time on Bit and Apple TV. I have to say that that does take a little bit away from the writing, but at the same time, I need to do this. Bit and Apple TV is where my soul usually is because like we like to say on Bit and Apple, we raise each other up. We bring people on to talk about their projects, to showcase the fact that the whole reason Bit and Apple TV started is because I got tired of going to those conventions and all they would cover was the bigger, higher up people, and I'm like, well, there's so much great stuff out there. Why aren't we covering that? And I feel like we needed to give the little guy a voice.
Yeah, and the little guy.
Food review.
The little guy always has like the most interesting things to say, because like what Jan was saying, like a lot of the higher ups, they just kind of like follow the same formula, like bam, 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 successful story, while like, we're out here just doing weird shit. Like support more weird shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to have any, there is no boss to speak to or, editor to tone down your story or whatever. You're doing what's close to your heart. So I do feel like that's, again, comics, that gets down to the purest stories like Matta's, where it's just one person telling their story. Art, letters, everything, to me, again, is the purest form of storytelling.
Dude,
not that there can't be good things from collaboration, obviously, but
my favorite Matta line is when she says, I do all this work. I can't even afford to pay myself.
I hear that.
Work. It's a lot of work.
I think my tax document last year was negative 8,000 for part-time comics. So let me tell you.
I have not done my taxes, but I'm expecting some negative 4 figures as well.
Oh, you're getting on the deadline here.
Yeah, I am. I've been procrastinating, but yeah, I ordered a lot of
hopefully
graphic
the tax
novels.
man is not listening.
Let the tax man listen. I don't give a shit.
Let him.
Okay.
I hope I hurt his feelings.
Like the tax man should listen to this because they know we're broke.
Yeah, right.
Seriously, like you have nothing to get from me.
My tax
Me alone.
person called
Go
me.
away.
Are you sure? Am I filing that you're negative 7,800? I'm like, no, that's right. I work in comics. That's the way it goes.
I think what bugs me out the most is that the IRS goes, you've been spending way too much money on this. I agree with you. I'm going to continue to spend so much money on this, and I'm going to continue to lose money on this. So you better just get used to it.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, it's not a business if it keeps losing money. That's what I say, but I'm going to keep
You
doing
know what, IRS? It's none of your business, all right?
Oh, man. Jan, tell the people one more time all the good stuff where they can find you, and I will show off your thing over here on the side.
Well, thanks so much. Before I say that, I'll just say that if you want to reverse some aging, 36-hour fast, a way to go. It's pretty good.
I can't even fast for like 36 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, you start at 12, pick it up to 24, and then work up to 36, and you get like a 400.
I would be so hangry, I would commit crimes. Like that would not work for me.
Crime time.
Should become the villain.
I'd just be throwing hands everywhere.
Well, guys, what you're seeing on screen right now is our WeFunder campaign. We're opening up WeFunder, our real-world company, to the public. Anyone can own part of what we're building, the first cinematic social network, and that's on wefunder.com/realworld, and that's REELWURLD, because you're in it. And whether or not you invest in the WeFunder, joining the show, which is free to join, is on justiceforhire.app. You can learn all about the show on justiceforhire.com and see a bunch of cool stuff there. But justiceforhire.app, which performs best on your phone, not on desktop, is where you'll find the community. And it's really, really fun. And that's how we're building our first show, our first shared cinematic universe together. So if you want to be a hero or a villain or client that hires them, you join there.
And of course, there's the Instagram where you find all the beautiful stuff, all the beautiful videos, all the beautiful fun. And if you go to the videos, you might see a certain Cadma and a certain Writ Ralph. I don't know. Go check them out.
What are they doing over there? Those crazy people.
They need a hero number.
Exactly. Which I finally figured out thanks to our friend Jan in the green room, how to do this. We're going to be a duo. I'm going to be her Chip. I'm going to be her Oracle.
Love it.
Nice.
And I feel like it goes back to the constant. It's what I do for her now. Anyway, I'm usually the guy that takes care of what she needs to do or where she needs to go. So I'm the voice in her head anyway. So I might as well be the voice in her head.
That's cool.
That's art imitating life.
Exactly, which is the beautiful way that things happen. Because as we've heard from Jan, his life keeps imitating the art. So we might as well do it ourselves.
You appreciate it.
So, John, tell the good people all the beautiful stuff one more time.
Well, for the next 20 hours, please head over to Kickstarter.com. You can search just the words child services. It'll be the first thing that comes up, but it's under my name, Jan Westhoff. Please, follow us on there as well. We've got 3 other books coming out this year after this one, after this successfully funds. We have the amazing cover art that Matta's showing out there. It's still available. You'd get us very close to goal if you get this amazing colored piece. It's very rare to have a cover offered in a campaign, let alone a full colored cover. that is the actual piece that you will get, and that
Yep.
is one of our covers there.
How much
Traditionally colored.
how much is that going for?
$350.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a pretty good deal.
Fully colored, yeah.
It's really beautiful.
And we have
100%
the
original art.
and April Reyna offered her variant cover, so we have both
Oh wow.
ladies covers. So this again, it's very rare to see that happen, but they were gracious enough to offer that, and I hope that can help us get towards goal. If you don't go and back the Kickstarter, you can find me at iomattamoney.com. I'll be raising funds to finish paying her to complete this book, because it will come out come hell or high water. But make it easy on us. Let's just get this Kickstarter funded, and then we don't have to regroup or anything.
And I don't have to break his kneecaps. I
Right.
mean,
Ooh.
And if
I
you're
feel
oh,
like
did I? What? No, nobody said anything.
I feel like this keeps going in Justice for Hire's direction.
she tries to put in that villain role. She tries to pretend, but
Oh no, I don't pretend. I'm very upfront about my
she's more of an
villainy.
anti-hero. She's not.
You tell him, Matta. I tell people all the time, I am the bad guy.
No, I know you're the bad guy. This is why we go together so well.
Exactly, and it's so funny because people are like, "Come on, Ralph, you're not the bad guy." I'm like, I know I'm the bad guy. People think I'm the bad guy, and they're out there right now thinking that I don't know who they are.
You know what? The thing about the bad guy is the bad guy wants you to think that they're the good guy. So when someone's like, "Oh, you're not the bad guy," then it's like, "Ah, yes, poor naive soul."
Mwahahahaha. I gotta say, I have the laugh, so I might as well be the bad guy.
You have a great laugh, yeah. My
Folks,
evil laugh is more like. Not
is
very
it more
menacing, but-
he or more?
No, it's just...
Oh man, folks. Of course, debonair guy out there is doing the voice for Cold Cutter over here.
Oh,
You know,
who
I'm not
did
sure who
that?
exactly that guy is doing the voiceover for Cold Cutter.
Probably a guy with a really good evil laugh.
I agree. I completely agree, and a good detective sounding voice. Folks, Cold Cutter is fantastic. If you like detective stories, this is a story right up your alley. The action is even kicking up better in issue 3. They are funded, so they're at 686. But come on, folks, we can get them to 3,000. Come on.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. And since I've been busy running around chasing cats today, I feel like that's all I was able to set up.
Aw.
Mr. Nat, what do we got?
So there is Bad Mud Media with Hypergeist. They're coming down to their final hours. Then aside from them, there is Pat Shand and Shannon. Give me 1 second.
I love Pat Shand. I love Pat Shand.
Matt Chan does great work. Yeah,
I had no idea. The Black Mass Studios does some amazing work, and that's how I
my
found
God.
out.
He is a maniac.
he's a maniac. He's amazing.
I think it's with Shannon Lee this time. It is. There we go. Pat Shannon and Shannon Lee work together on a
Nice.
sort of Frozen parody called Nippy, both of which we cannot show. So there you go.
Shannon
That
Lee,
is-
Bruce Lee's daughter? Is that Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee?
Ralph?
If it's the Shannon Lee that we think it is, yes, it's Bruce Lee's daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Let's find out. Let's go. Like while you keep talking, I'll do what I do, which is research.
The power of
that's
Google.
it. That's all the campaigns aside from the ones you mentioned. Everything else is still in preview.
Oh, we also have Phil Russell, who's trying to raise money to get his book Papa in. Sadly enough, he can't get it into his father's hands because his father died recently. You know.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Aw.
Our regards, Phil. We send prayers
Oh
and
my goodness.
many things your direction. But we can get the book done. It's a passion project now. And right now he's selling a lot of his art, actually stuff that he thought he wouldn't sell at all, to try to get this book published. So if you guys go to his campaign right now for Tragedy, he's doing a tragedy art book that it's one of those classic art books that, you know, with the hardcover that they usually, you know, when we were kids, it cost about $80. I think his cost $100. But also on the campaign, he actually selling all that art, all the beautiful art. And right now, if you're looking for deals, go over to that and you'll get some deals for some good art.
Yeah, he's got some big names on that art too.
Yeah, he's got a ton of covers too, so that's gonna be a really good book.
Oh, definitely. I think that's everything. Folks, I'll
Hit
find out for
point
you
is
if it's the
still,
Shannon Lee you think it is. We'll probably find out in the green room as we go back over there.
Hit Point Games is still on Kickstarter. They've been
There you
fundraising.
go.
They're
Thank
still
you,
running.
Mr.
There we
Shadow.
go.
Guys, what should I follow for on social for CPS? Because I want to reach out to you after I read it.
Nice. Oh
You're
wait,
muted. John, you're muted.
John
You're muted.
W. Linktree at Part-Time Comics.
I'm
with
Part-Time
X.
Comics with an X on all social
Part-Time
medias. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, Part-Time Comics. Yeah, which obviously is a joke because I started it saying I was going to set limits on how much I did, and it's become a full-time comics. But that's okay.
So as Jan is saying that, there goes the number going up.
Hey,
Yes. Yes.
There
I
you go.
wonder who could have supported.
Good question.
number up.
Folks, they just to like reiterate this before we go, they are at 3,334. They need to get to 4,400. 20 hours is not a problem. They should get there and hit 4,000 in 20 hours.
And if
Yeah,
you
I mean,
call
if
in
you-
the next 5 minutes, you'll get some leftover noodles on a piece of artwork.
If you can't afford to back right now, sharing is free and it helps a lot.
Yeah, share away, folks. Especially because they need so much help right now. The more you share it, who knows? One of your friends might want this project.
Or some mysterious rich benefactor will drop $2,000 into the campaign or something. I don't know.
Have you thought making a gamer girl bath water tier?
Ew.
I'll consider it if somebody wants my bathwater, but
Hey, the last time we did this bathwater thing, people got sexual diseases, man.
But it did sell.
It did sell, and that's how the people got the sexual diseases.
Yeah, didn't people drink it and it was a whole thing?
Yeah, that's how they got the
what we're
sexual
talking
disease.
Oh, no. Jesus Christ. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Folks, I tell you this much: if you fund this, the Bitten Apple will do a special Raid Ralph's beautiful collection, and I'll post something interesting.
He's gonna give you bath
collection of
water.
what?
I have a huge collection, folks. I can just jump into it. And
He's
find
talking about his bathtub. It's a collection of water.
It's gonna be kind of hard.
It's a collection of water buckets.
But folks, if you get this funded, I will go into that collection, find something, and then one of you will be able to win this.
Ooh, prizes.
It's bath water.
All right, folks, there you have it. We have been here on the Written Writ. Today has been a blast. You guys have been all over the place. It has been one of our most watched shows, and I feel like I keep saying that every week.
That's good. Always keep raising the bar.
I love that. I've actually said that 3 times in the past 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember I skipped a week, but then the week before we were like, oh, hey, this is our most watched show. So
yeah,
there you go.
This
show
show has actually reached some interesting numbers. All right, folks, go have fun, enjoy yourself, support these beautiful people. Remember, we raise each other up. Be the hero you are meant to be. With that, I'll press the button